What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and continue learning about what English people really think about Americans. This is a continuation of a video I did a while back where I listened to a bunch of English people's opinions on Americans, and I was able to survive that. so I'm back again to do it once more. I expect this video to be another pretty eye-opening experience, but I'm going in with an open mind. I actually think it's good. I think it's a good thing for Americans like myself to hear about what other parts of the world think about America. For better or worse, whether my feelings are hurt or not, I feel like I will gain something from this. Whether that be trauma or some kind of insight, let's take a look. What do English people really think about Americans?
The difference in culture, they're a bit more forward spoken than the British, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
You know what? That's a very polite way of saying, like, Americans will just not shut up. Americans just say whatever the heck is on the top of their head and don't even think before they talk and then won't stop. I feel like that's what he's saying in a very polite way. Oh, Americans very forward spoken. Like, that's a very kind way to put it.
I think we're quite similar in terms of Western tendencies.
Okay.
I do think there is a large amount of Americans that are probably not spoken about. The ones that are really friendly, the ones that are really approachable, and the ones who.
Hey, you know, that's nice. You know, maybe this is just gonna be a nice video full of compliments. I was worried for nothing. But seriously, I actually like what she's saying because it seems like, especially on the internet and stuff, people focus on the negative. And I feel like there's a lot of anti-American or negative American sentiment in terms of how we're viewed sometimes. A lot of that is probably true and valid, like thinking those things. But what she's getting at is, okay, I think we focus on the negative, and there's a lot of friendly, nice, normal Americans as well. So I actually appreciate her kind of making that point.
Can have a little bit of a laugh, but in TV programs and things you don't necessarily see that come across, and I don't feel that Americans get sarcasm. They don't understand our British humour, which at times can be quite crude.
I guess
that's interesting. Yeah. Americans not understanding British humor, sarcasm. I've learned that in Britain it's normal for friends to, like, show that you love each other, show that you're friends with each other by being mean to each other, by making fun of each other. That's a very British thing that I've learned about, and it's sarcasm. It's poking fun. It's being able to take a joke about yourself. And I think Americans are not great at that. For sure. I think that's totally true.
my thoughts are heavily influenced by politics, and particularly by what's been happening in recent years. So I can't believe the gullibility of people voting and supporting a president like Donald Trump.
I imagine this must be one of the most top of mind things for English people when you think about America, because it is very important. Like, America and who's leading it and our politics can affect the rest of the world. Lots of countries can affect the rest of the world. America and our politics and who is our leader affects the world as well as us. And us Americans are the ones in control of that. So I totally get why this is something English people focus on and rightfully kind of criticize.
Read just recently, just 2 days ago, that 70% of Republicans still believe the vote was rigged. And I just find that incredible, that despite all of this overwhelming evidence, people still believe that. So I think
it's actually really interesting for me to hear about this, because in the kindest way possible, I feel like Americans don't care about or bother to learn about politics in the rest of the world. Seems like a lot of people in England and in the UK are aware of what's going on in America. And Americans are just totally unaware of what's going on in the rest of the world, in the UK, in England. Totally unaware, totally uneducated on it. And this guy talking about American politics kind of really emphasizes that to me.
I do think there's a degree of gullibility. But on the other hand, Americans are an amazing people. They're so creative and they contribute so much to the world as well.
You.
So
it's hard.
Thank you. I'm acting like he's talking about me. I'm just pretending he's talking to me when he says that. He's like, oh, they're so creative and so fun and imaginative. I'm like, oh, thank you. All right, yeah, I'm sure he's talking about me. But yeah, I appreciate a lot of the English people in this video are going out of their way to be like, okay, here's X, Y, and Z, why America is very questionable at times. But they're not overgeneralizing. They're saying, but that's, there's normal Americans that are nice people and friendly. And I do appreciate that as well as the criticism, too.
I haven't actually met that many American people. Right. But again, the ones I have met, very friendly.
Oh, right.
Maybe a bit too friendly. but
right as I was saying that, right as I was like, oh, this is so nice how friendly we are. The English people really appreciate how friendly we are. It's great. And it's like, yeah, Americans, they're friendly. Sometimes a little too friendly. Sometimes the friendliness won't stop when you're begging them to stop. Okay, so Americans, yeah. From what I understand, Americans, whether it's here in America or when we travel to other countries, we kind of stick out because we are willing to talk, we're willing to be loud. Sometimes we don't really focus on how we're affecting other people. Americans are a little more self-centered than other cultures, I think. So we'll talk, but we'll also over-talk, be loud on our phone, like affecting other people and not being aware of it as much. And it can come across as quite rude, I think.
In a nice way, it's sort of refreshing, I think.
I'm going to go with the first thing that came into my head. I thought fat. That's what came to mind. Do you know? I was thinking maybe it's because I just saw Super.
What did I don't know what he just said.
I thought fat. That's
fat. Okay, I missed it. He doesn't want to say. He's like fat. It was like, okay, the American overweight, obesity epidemic, unhealthy thing. I know that's a whole thing, an American stereotype. I mean, we do have a McDonald's literally every mile. It's not even an exaggeration. Every couple miles, there's literally a McDonald's. A lot of Americans eat our food, which is super processed and artificial, corn syrup and everything or whatever it is. And yeah, I mean, I partake in all of that without even meaning to. It's just the way American food is manufactured, I think, is actually unhealthy compared to the rest of the world. It's tailored to our addiction to sugar and processed food, and that all circles back to what he's talking about, fat or unhealthy, you would say.
That's what came to mind. Do you know? I was thinking maybe it's because I just saw Super Size Me really recently. So maybe that explains the burger and the fat. I know a few Americans. They're great.
I think there's a broad range.
every English person here is always like, and also I know I know a couple Americans and they're all right. It's very, very nice, very proper. A bunch of criticism, maybe even insults, which again, a lot of these are justified. True. And then at the end it's but some of them are cool. I don't know why I find that funny.
There's a stereotype of them just being a bit stupid, but I don't think that's necessarily true.
Okay. It's the stereotype. She couldn't have put it more bluntly. Americans, a lot of them are stupid. But she's saying it's a stereotype. So, okay. That's good to know, though. It's good. I enjoy learning about how America is perceived by other parts of the world, for better or worse.
I think they're just like everyone else. You could say it about England as well. There's some stupid people, but there's some smart people.
When I went to Disney, so it was just magical. So everyone just seemed really lovely. But no, I agree.
Customer service is amazing over there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. You don't get that here.
Yeah. No, everyone's chatty and friendly.
Okay. We have good customer service so that you'll keep coming back to McDonald's. It's all part of the unhealthy scheme so that you buy more McDonald's.
I think.
The Americans that I've met, great people.
Ah, okay.
But having said that, usually there's alcohol involved, and it's usually sat around a bar.
I really like how a lot of these English people are talking about their personal experience whenever they have a personal experience with an American in real life. Almost across the board, they're like, they were nice. People are nice. People are usually kind, nice, understanding in real life. You know, most of the time, not all the time. It's Americans. It's the faceless crowd of Americans, the stereotype of Americans, that the idea of Americans, American culture that gets a lot of the criticism. But an American, like singular, is usually like just a person, just a nice person.
In Vegas for Trump's election night, a Brit and a bar full of Trumpers. I could not do a thing wrong. I did not buy a drink all night. It was great.
What is something you like about America?
There are some.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna skip ahead here. I'm not. This video is very, very long, and it has several sections. I'm not gonna focus on the what they like about America. I'm gonna jump ahead to what do they not like about America. That's the juicy part. Okay, let's take a look.
Something you don't like about America?
Well, again, I think I've probably said it in my earlier answers. Is that just unbelievable? That
The
gullibility,
politics.
to support a president like Donald Trump, and there is a lot of bigotry and a lot of hatred in the States as well, and certainly that's perspective we have, of people overseas have.
The complete.
Yeah. Bigotry, racism, like lack of diversity in America. I know that's all. I mean, that's true. It kind of depends on where you live in the United States. That's what I always say is a great thing about the United States is you can kind of pick and choose because there's 50 states. The United States is massive. And based on your ideology, even what kind of weather you like, you can choose where you live in the United States pretty accurately and be around people who are like you, people with the same kinds of thoughts and politics. And yeah, there's a lot of different areas depending on what you want. Some that you could consider bad or worse or better than others. So take your pick.
Complete lack of care and consideration when eating chloroform chicken and meat that's got plastic in. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering what she was getting at. Complete lack of care of, and I was like, what? Of what we eat. Complete lack of care of what we eat and the chicken. Man, I like our chicken. Oh, no, that's not good. It's not good that I like our chicken. Yeah, it's very, like, processed, very, like, full of all sorts of bad stuff. Yeah, you have to really go out of your way to find, like, a Whole Foods store or something in America to try to even attempt to buy unprocessed food.
There's really no sort of laws which protect animals, and I feel like as a consumer, Americans need to be a little bit more aware about what they're putting in their bodies, how it's affecting the environment.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the number one thing I think a lot of people talk about when they criticize Americans. She actually seems concerned for our health. I appreciate this, actually.
And the negative impacts on climate change and how it's going to affect the rest of the world in the future.
In London, you get all the gangs going around, wannabe Americans. Do you get me? The gang culture and that lot. That's a bad thing because it doesn't come from the
I've never heard about this one before. This is really interesting. He's talking about London gangs idolizing American gang culture. Is that a thing? That's terrible. That's super interesting to me. I have never heard about this.
Unless the English are that narrow-minded that they watch the films and think that that's what it's like out there. But do you get me? It's like the gang culture and all that kind of coming from America. That's the only...
Oh, some of like our TV and movies that idolize that kind of lifestyle. I get it. Yeah, I've never even thought about how American like movies and entertainment affects other parts of the world. I know that people in the UK seem to consume a lot more American media and American entertainment than like us Americans don't consume that much British entertainment or British content, you could say. So I think growing up, English people and people in the UK are a lot more influenced or a lot more aware of that part of American culture, and us Americans are totally not aware of cultures outside of our country. So it's really interesting to hear about how that can affect people. That's really interesting.
Only thing I can say I don't really like about it.
Recently, I don't really like how the politics works. It's hard to say because I feel like there's inequality in every society, but it feels like it's very heightened over there at the moment. And I don't know if that's just because of the news and how it's portrayed in the news, the American dream and like...
She's talking about inequality in politics. I'm not exactly sure specifically what she's talking about, but it's, like I said, a lot of these English people are really like focused and aware and up to date on American politics. I think that's fantastic. That's very impressive to me.
Get rich quick, and you can, if you work hard, you'll get there. I just feel like it doesn't work for everyone, and I feel like a lot of people get let down.
Okay, maybe she seemed to be talking about financial struggle in American politics, like the wealthiest people being in power and like the 0.00001% of Americans owning like 70% of the wealth, that kind of inequality. Yeah, for sure, and that definitely influences our politics and all that stuff. Very man, these are some really impressive like insights that are being made here, actually. I'm impressed.
How the President-elect Joe Biden seems to be trying to infringe on the Second Amendment.
Right.
The fact they think Europe is a country.
Right.
Yeah.
They refer to Europe as England.
And yeah, like on TikTok.
Yeah, oh my, okay. I'm glad someone mentioned this one. This is like a classic. Americans are terrible at geography. Terrible. Even I am ashamed to admit this. I don't think I could label a map of Europe accurately. As an adult Adult American man, I'll admit it. But the only thing I am not embarrassed, that makes me not embarrassed, is that I know every other American here. 99% of us can't do it. I don't know where we went wrong in our little American geography classes growing up. It's just tough learning the 50 states, you know? Labeling a map of America, you try it. It's hard. I hope to God that English people cannot label a map of the US and Europe. Then I'm going to be very embarrassed. Yeah, Americans are terrible at geography. Most Americans don't know the difference between the UK, Great Britain, and England. Most Americans use those interchangeably. And Europe, like they're saying, they'll say Europe, oh, Britain, England. Like it's all the same thing. Makes no sense. I don't know where we went so wrong. I don't know.
TikTok, sometimes they just say stuff and you're like, what?
Oh, and taking the mick out of like
English
accents.
Yeah. They try to do British accents and they can't do them.
I don't really get American football, if I'm being honest. I don't get it. Maybe that's possibly coming from a position of not really understanding it. But
American football, not football like we think is soccer, but American football, the NFL, which is insanely popular here. I have wondered what people from other countries think about that. I think it's like how I think about cricket. I don't know how cricket works. I don't know why it's so popular. But you know what? It's fine. It seems fun. People are enjoying it. I don't understand it. I guess that's how English people feel about American football, huh?
I just don't really understand. I don't get it. But you're like wearing all the pads, and it's like a kind of like it's like a Broadway musical version of Broadway musicals. I love Broadway musicals. Can I go back to the other one?
I don't know. I've never been. I've met 5 American people, so I'm not that quick to judge.
Wow, that takes some restraint right there, actually. That guy's just like, I've never been there. I don't know. I haven't experienced it myself, so I can't comment. That's not as fun, though. I appreciate what he's saying there. That actually takes a lot of restraint to know what you don't know. But I appreciate all the English people in this video going out on a limb and making a comment, making a criticism or an observation. That's valuable. Whether it's right or wrong, it's valuable and insightful. And I actually thought this video was great. Not even as painful as I thought it would be. Not as painful. This was by James Prime, and I gotta give this a like. There was criticisms. Nothing that actually I really disagreed with. So how can I even be mad? Us Americans have criticisms of America as well, and it's fun seeing how those line up with people outside of America. It's great hearing about opinions of people outside of America looking in, because I cannot escape my American bubble and have an objective viewpoint, so I kind of rely on stuff like this. There is criticisms, there is a lot of nice comments as well. That was really nice. That was nice to hear. I actually enjoyed this video quite a bit. It was insightful, educational, I survived this one as well. This was good, actually. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, perhaps with your thoughts on Americans or your thoughts on what any of the people said here today. That'd be great to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to British culture, Britain, and stuff about Britain I've never learned before or heard before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.